Welcome to this episode of the Houghton Hangout. Thank you so much for joining us. I am here, as always, with my co-presenter, Leanna Best.
Hi.
So, catch up.
Yes.
This week.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how our weeks always are a little similar.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a lot of empathy for each other.
A lot of empathy.
The juggle.
It's real.
The juggle is the struggle.
Yeah, it is. It really
is. The struggle
is.
is real.
Mm-hmm.
The struggle is real. So, what's been going on for you?
Mainly my 3-year-old. It's been going on for me.
Okay.
Behaviour is stressing me out, if I'm completely honest with you. So everything seems like more of a task.
Yeah. And when you're juggling and you've had a few things change with your help and support network over the last couple of weeks as well, and then it all adds to it as well.
It all adds to the stress.
Why do things always go wrong when you're already up against it anyway? That is what I don't get. What kind of world are we living in for that to happen to us?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what really, really grinds my gears.
Really stressful.
You know? Yeah. And particularly for me, where I've planned 2 really intense office days with a lot of stuff to get done. And then my son is off school. My husband covers one day, I cover the other, but it's still,
It wasn't supposed to be your week.
No, it's intense.
It's really intense.
I think one of the questions I'm asked a lot is, how do you do it all? Do you get asked that a lot?
Yeah, but I'm not sure of the answer. It's the truth. How do you do it all? Well, I just do.
Yeah, we just get on with it. Yeah. But I think something that we occasionally do on a Friday, we should share with our viewers and our listeners. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I think I started this as a bit of a joke, but it's something that's quite nice to do, isn't it? And we do a husband appreciation voice note to each other. Our husbands don't get to hear them. It's not for them.
Secret.
Yeah, it's not for them. All right. But we do husband appreciation. So, what have our husbands done this week that we really appreciate? Because there's lots.
And I think that is really the truth of it. We can do what we do because we have a strong support system at home. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of relationships where it's very much mummy and daddy gets involved here and there. I think that's changing a lot. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be, cast down for saying that. And I'm talking from personal experiences, family. I've got a huge family and friends. But Rico is such a hands-on dad. He really is. He's another mummy. They seek as much reassurance and love in him as they do me. So it's not that I'm not missed, but it's not a great big, awful thing that happens in my children's life if I'm away.
Yeah.
They get to enjoy time with daddy. They see it as a perk, not as a horrible situation.
Exactly, because it shouldn't be.
No.
And I couldn't do what I do if it wasn't for my husband. My husband's always had my back, supported me, encouraged me. When I first posed the idea of even opening up the conversation about me setting up a practice with Katie, Andy and Daniel, he was just right from that moment where I brought that to life. If you want to do that, you go for it. So he's always had my back. I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for his love and support and encouragement.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean things aren't difficult.
No.
And that we don't, get annoyed with each other at times. But we are bang on 50-50 parents.
Yeah, we are.
And we both let things go and we both give because that's what's important.
Do you know what? I remember seeing, I think it was on Instagram, and it's Michelle Obama, and she's in an interview, and she says how the split is supposed to be 50-50, but sometimes it will be 70-30, 80-20.
That's it.
Depending on where you are. So there will be times in my life where I've had to give 80% and Rico was only given 20. Prime example, when he had his cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
He wasn't able physically to give that extra percent. So I was doing more. But then I know that there's times when that flips. And I think that's when things you can have that peace, in a relationship where you know, all right, now I'm giving more. Yeah. But I am going to get my time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do also actively encourage my husband, why don't you arrange to go out with the guys for a curry, go out for dinner? You know, I actively encourage that because he needs that time.
Definitely.
Because he has been, you know, doing 70% that week and I've done 30.
Yeah.
And I'll say that a lot to people. Actually, he does a lot more. I mean, he's changed his whole career to support me and what I do.
Wow.
And I'm forever grateful for that.
Of course.
You know,
Wow.
so there's so many things that he does and lots of things behind the scenes that many people would, you know, say go unnoticed, but I do notice them. Perhaps should vocalise them a bit more.
Love Glyn.
Oh, love Rico. Husband Appreciation Week. So no matter what's gone on, no matter how difficult your week has been, like what have our other halves supported us with, had our back with. So it's not every week we do it, but it's a bit, you know.
It's quite a nice thing to do, though.
Quite nice, isn't it? Yeah.
Good
we
for
won't let
us.
them in on it still, though.
They can't.
Definitely not. Definitely not. But you know, and again, people say, "Oh, how do you do it?" Like, I would never have had a child with someone who wasn't going to be all in. I would never have had a child with someone who would then go, well, it's all on you as the mother.
Yeah.
That I just wouldn't have done that. That relationship wouldn't have gone anywhere. That relationship would have ended because I wouldn't have done that.
Question, is that because of how your dad is?
No.
Ah, so that is for me.
Yeah.
So I had a very 50-50 situation at home.
Yeah.
And my parents' relationship was like a goal for me.
Wow.
Because they, you know, I had to go around my friend's house and their parents don't like each other.
Yeah.
I could see the difference that I had at home versus there was so much love.
So I did grow up in a really loving household and my parents are about to celebrate 50 years of marriage. So it's their golden wedding anniversary. But they worked so hard, so they definitely instilled work ethic in me. So my dad worked in finance. He would leave crack of dawn and he'd probably be back by the time we were in bed. So a lot of it was on my mum, who was also working as a nurse.
Wow.
So, yeah, she could do bank hours. She would, you know, choose the hours, do the school hours. She'd work weekends. He'd be home. They were fun weekends. We'd enjoy those weekends because he wouldn't really look after us. And I can say that because he knows that. I've got photographic evidence to prove it with my sister's fringe when she cut it with her.
I cut myself a fringe.
Well, she already had a fringe. This one she took a chunk out of with paper. You know the kids' paper scissors? They were like a witch, safety scissors.
Yeah.
She hacked that fringe. School photos the next day.
No.
Brilliant photograph.
I wonder if there's something in that because I cut my fringe myself. Curly hair, by the way, so never was going to be a look. And I did it before the school photos. I think I was trying to spruce myself up.
Yeah. I think Sarah was just trying to be a really good girl and help her mum out.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. My dad probably got an absolute telling off for that. Could you imagine?
He did.
But yeah, right. Let's get into our banned words, something that we're bringing to all of our listeners and viewers on every pod. So do you want to kick off?
Another banned word, which I'm going to say grinds my gears, is hygiene. You need to have a hygiene appointment.
Yeah.
And what's that saying? You stink.
You're dirty.
You are yuck.
You are a dirty girl.
It's not nice, but we forget what it means to us, don't we? We do.
So the reason we're really laughing is because our PA extraordinaire, Alison, is sat here and she's in absolute hysterics, aren't you, Alison? You can't hear her on the mic, but I tell you what, she's cracking up, yeah? Because that's the reality of it. We're basically like, you're a dirty girl.
Yeah.
Yeah? And no wonder they don't want to book or they're not motivated to use teepees afterwards.
Also, imagine their poor mind when they leave.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm dirty.
Dear, I need
I'm
a
a dirty
hygiene
girl.
appointment. Am I that bad? You know, you need an appointment with the hygienist.
To remove all the hard plaque.
Lovely. You need a gum health appointment.
You sure do. Customer service, every practice is striving to do little things that make a big difference because I really believe that about customer service. It is the little things. It's not necessarily these big shows. And one of the things that practices know they can do well and consistently is a post-treatment follow-up call.
Yeah.
And I've always got two thoughts around this. And I think as I've got older, my thoughts have changed as well. So, you know, my thoughts 10 years ago, pre-having a child, were definitely that we surprise the patient with the call the day after to see how you're doing after having an extraction, root canal treatment, that type of thing. Now I'm of the mindset of let's let the patient know and find out what time's good to call them. Because I'm time poor, you're time poor, everyone's time poor. So let's find out a time that would be good to call them, because actually we want to make sure they're okay. That's the whole point of the call. So 35-year-old Laura living all carefree and having the best time of her life, that wasn't an issue, but 45-year-old Laura, it sure is.
Yeah.
So I think we should arrange that call. So then what happens is the language is, oh, we'll give you a follow-up call tomorrow. Now, to me, I don't like that. Follow-up call. I know that's what we're doing, right? But to me, it should be a care call. That's what we're doing. We're going to give you a care call.
Lovely.
Other practices might prefer to use a kindness call. But again, we've got to use words that are comfortable. So we're going to use them when we're talking to patients. Some people would feel very uncomfortable saying to a patient, we're going to give you a kindness call tomorrow.
Just about to say that would not feel comfortable for me. And maybe does sound a little bit patronising.
And the difference between me and you and some coaches and trainers is that they're not from practice, they haven't worked in practice, and they come up with these ideas to use words like, tell the patient you're going to give them a kindness call. And the reality is you're not the one asking the patient or using those verbal skills to a patient. Therefore, it's uncomfortable. One person in the team's got no issue with it. They do it. Everyone else feels uncomfortable, so they don't do it. A care call and saying that we're going to give you a care call is much more palatable and comfortable for everyone, and therefore everyone can use that.
Yeah.
And then we're calling with care because that's what we do.
It also sounds lovely.
Yeah.
If somebody said to me, going back to Botox, because at this point I'm desperate, but let me give you a care call after. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll have that, please. Thanks.
Yeah, because when can I drink alcohol? I
This
forgot.
is very important.
It's
for
Friday
me.
night now.
Yeah.
You know, am I waiting a few more days? What's the deal here? Because I know I can't drink it before.
No. Can we go to the gym?
Yeah. Can I please put a cap on?
A cap or your headlight to walk the dog.
Now look, Leanna's sharing too much personal information here that I walk my dog with a head torch on. I've got a new head torch
I know.
actually.
But you don't like
have I showed it you?
No, but you said you don't like it because you have to look down.
Yeah, you have to sort of move your head. Anyway, it's really good, really bright though.
Good.
But can I put a cap on because I can't be bothered to wash my hair?
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
And I want to pop to the shop in disguise.
Well, obviously a cap with my hair doesn't work, does it?
Absolutely
it can
not.
look a bit puffy.
It's really not going to be a good look,
No.
is it?
That's why I can't wear them unless I wear my hair straight.
Yeah, absolutely. Back into the pod, we are going through the funny list of co-worker nicknames. So short, sweet, let's go through it. I am starting strong with Justin. Someone who puts in just enough work to avoid being fired.
That's a good, clever person.
And the next one, when I say it, it's going to be really obvious, but it's a really good nickname for someone. Kit Kat. Someone who's always taking a break.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Also, if they're not taking a break, they're taking a toilet break. We've all worked with those.
Yeah.
Can't get off the toilet.
Yeah.
Sit there skiving.
Where's their phone as well? Right, I'm starting with Shaggy.
Oh.
Someone who's never in the wrong. I like that one.
Hang on. Do you think everyone will get that?
It wasn't me. Teflon.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't retain information.
That's
really
yes.
good. I like that one. That's my favourite one.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Wheelbarrow. Someone who only works when pushed.
These are so good. I don't know where they come up with them, but they're fantastic.
They're really good.
Okay, confessions of a dental nurse. The worst job I've ever had. I once worked for a dentist. He was the sole owner of the practice, and besides him, it was just him and a hygienist. When he wanted the suction, he would request for me to suck. Can I just say?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that bad that I'm laughing?
This has happened to me too.
Suck.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's disgusting. I think I'm going to just experience a bit of PTSD for a
You
minute.
are.
Yeah.
Suck.
Yeah. Suck, please.
Oh.
It's absolutely disgusting.
Not nice for a patient.
Imagine, it's not nice for the nurse.
No, I know. But I'm a patient experience person, so.
It was absolutely awful. And I'll tell you a short story about this. This job, I wanted to work in the bright lights of London. Everyone was working in London. I was 19. It was the cool thing to do. And my mum thought I'd made a wrong decision in taking this job and that I hadn't had any other interviews. I just basically turned up, interviewed the bloke myself.
Sounds about right.
Obviously got offered the job because why would you not want me?
Yeah.
And took the job. And I stuck at this job even though I hated it because my mum had said, like, I think you've made a mistake. And I was too immature to own it. The first week on the Friday, I walked to Oxford Circus tube station. I won't do an example of what I was doing because I'll look so ugly, but I was hysterical. I was sobbing my little 19-year-old heart out.
That's sad.
No one stopped me and said, "Are you okay?" I was just like...
That's London for
all
you.
the way there. And I hated it. Now, fast forward 6 months later, there was the most horrific incident, probably of our time, which was the Hatfield train crash. And I was, like many other, probably thousands of people that day, stranded at Tottenham Hale waiting for the train home. And as you know, when I'm on my own, I don't want to talk to anyone. These were the days where you didn't have your headphones. I mean, what would I have had? My Walkman.
Yeah. Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Remember that?
Right? So I got talking to this girl and lo and behold, she was a dental nurse. Wow. So that's it. Great. We're stranded here for hours. We're waiting for buses and all of this. So we got chatting. She was really lovely and turned out she'd worked at the same place.
No way.
Do you know what she asked me?
Suck.
No.
Go on. Did
I've just met you, but
no. Suck. No. Did she ask you, did he say suck?
No, she didn't ask me that. Her question was, how long did you last? And I said,
oh no.
I said nearly 6 months. She said, you're amazing. I left after 3 weeks.
Was it that bad?
So my lesson from that was as well, any job that's offering a lot of money, there's a problem there. They're throwing money at the problem. There's a problem.
Yeah.
And just because you see and you're offered all this extra money, that needs to tell you something. And I think a lot of us have to experience that to learn that lesson. Other people are keen to listen and go, I'm taking that on board. I'm following that advice. And that is my advice to anyone looking for a job. Don't get excited by the hourly rate, right? Don't get excited by the salary. That's not actually what it's about. It's about your opportunity, your progression, your career, the culture that you work in. And it was the most horrific experience of my life.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that story.
Yeah, no. I don't talk about it much, but there you go. It's now out there on YouTube.
No, everybody knows.
So, but look, I'm not alone, right?
Yeah, no, of course not.
Not alone. Okay, so next confession.
Go. Confessions of a practice owner. We once had a parent come in with their kid. Why is that funny for me? Kid, straight away. They were holding their child's hand chairside, trying to reassure the child. The nurse spotted a pair of knickers poking out of the bottom of the mum's trousers. I'm sorry. As she moved around the room, more and more of last night's dirty knickers were coming out of the bottom of her trousers. Oh. At one point, she noticed herself, thought no one was watching, and kicked them behind the clinical waste bin.
Oh my God.
For us to retrieve after she left. Never.
No way.
I would never. What's wrong with these people?
I was about to say...
Why are knickers in there anyway?
Hang on, I was about to say, how did they know they were last night's dirty knickers?
Yuck.
Right, okay, so what happens next?
That's it. She kicked them behind the clinical waste bin. So they were there. They had to sort out the dirty...
So someone, and let's just say that someone would have been the dental nurse would have had to double glove up and pick up those dirty knickers.
Yeah, why though? Why has it got to be a dental nurse? I'd say to the dentist, you do it.
Oh, imagine if she'd had a busy day.
No.
Oh.
A busy day.
God. Oh, my God.
That's wild, that one.
Why would you do that?
I tell you one, just to add on to this, it's different. But we once were working in surgery, in the treatment room. And I was working with a guy called David, and he's a lovely dentist. Anyway, so we're working. Patient gets up, massive hole in the bum of her trousers.
No.
So then me and David are looking at each other, but for some reason she was just standing facing the wall, so her bum was presented to us, and it was so awkward. So I was thinking, I don't know what to do. Do I tell her, obviously girl to girl, you've got your bums out, or do I say nothing? I said nothing.
Oh.
Horrible. David didn't say anything anyway, so she was walking down the street.
Oh, no.
It's awkward though, isn't it?
Yeah, really awkward. Really awkward. I think I would have had to say something.
I know, but I was young.
Yeah,
What
when
was
you're
I,
young,
like,
when you're young, it's really difficult.
19?
Now, I'm the first person to say,
Oh, yeah.
you've got lipstick on your teeth, food in your teeth,
Yeah.
your skirt's tucked into the back of your tights, love.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Girl's girl.
Oh, girl code,
Yeah.
right?
Not when I'm 19.
But when you're 19, you don't want to offend anyone, do
That's
you?
it. I didn't want to offend her.
No.
But I did.
Yeah.
Because I let her walk the streets with
Yeah.
a hole in her bum.
So this week's Houghton Hangout question then is about the use of WhatsApp in a dental practice. So in summary, what has been asked is that what are our opinions on it? How do they handle it? This is coming from a practice manager.
Okay.
She is quite new to the practice. She's part-time. She does 3.5 days a week.
Yeah.
And she finds that it is really disruptive throughout the working day, also in her days off, and also during the evenings and weekends. She basically said it's non-stop, relentless, going off, ping, ping, ping. She does have notifications muted now, but she just doesn't like it. She's never worked in a practice where it has been such a big part of their communication.
Yeah.
What are our thoughts on it? What are our ideas on it?
Okay, so I do think it invades you, WhatsApp communication, because everybody intercepts messages at different times. If you're working with it, I would suggest having a limit as when the day ends, there's no more messages to be sent, because that's then going into people's peace. And I think when you disrupt people's peace, I mean, we're quite keen on that, aren't we? To give people that downtime at home. It's not nice when your brain is not able to shut off from work and you just become sucked in. Oh, let me just quickly answer that. Let me just. Well, actually, that's a negative way to be a manager, to be a TCO, to be a dental nurse. It's not ideal, because then you're not getting that downtime, that well-deserved rest that you need, because you're not switching off. And what I don't like, because I've been in a very similar situation and I was a part of many groups on WhatsApp. And again, with the different timings of when people intercept messages, it's feeling compelled to answer depending on who it was. So, for instance, if it was somebody who was asking me a direct question, but say it was 7 p.m. at night, I didn't feel I was able to wait to the next day.
All right.
I felt like I had to answer, and then that would frustrate me because it's 8 o'clock at night. I should be able to watch the TV, read a book, read to my children without feeling like I have to go back into work mode. So I don't love the idea of WhatsApp. But I understand it's a preferred platform to utilize because it's easy. But I do think you have to have a clear system around it.
Yeah. Now, in my practice, we don't use WhatsApp for communication because although I haven't personally worked in a practice as an employee where we've had WhatsApp communication, I know how many practices I have helped move away from using WhatsApp as a form of communication. And the biggest problem we have here is that we have a mixture of self-employed and employed. And I don't think there's any other professions that have a mix like we do.
No.
It's actually quite strange and unique, but hey, that's us guys in dentistry. And so therefore the self-employed people can message, voice note, you know, whenever they want, because they're self-employed. Just like they can take a 10-minute lunch or an hour lunch. They can finish early if their day finishes early because they're not getting paid for it. They're self-employed. And that is the difference. With employees have a contract of employment, and their employment finishes in the hours that contract states, which is often 5:30, 6, 7 p.m. if you're working late, whatever it is. And that is when that communication should end. I also think WhatsApp is not very organised.
No, it's not.
Because if you've been bombarded with messages and some people then don't go to that message and reply on that message, it's so easy for everything to get lost. And there are so many better tools you can use. Slack is a great example. It's also free. It only saves messages for 90 days, but really that should be fine. And then you're in the communication about the actual channel.
Yeah.
Teams. We love Teams. We use Teams. And we're quite new to Teams. We've actually moved from Slack to Teams. We've moved to Teams for many reasons. But that's a great tool to use. And then people are logging on to use that, and the app is on their desktop, etc., etc. So for me, the issue is actually fundamentally this all comes down to culture. And for some practices, it's okay to have WhatsApp as your communication tool because that fits your culture. But there are many other practices where that does not fit your culture. So many businesses where WhatsApp communication doesn't fit the culture. The culture is the most important thing.
100%.
Next comes how you communicate. And the communication and the way that you communicate should be inbuilt into your culture.
Exactly.
You want happy team members, it's all about your culture.
And what about annual leave? I've experienced it on holiday. And I'm not an employee who isn't passionate. So it will affect me if I feel that there's something that's going wrong. And it will bother me. I can't just go, oh well, you know, and turn my phone over and be done with it. So that's another thing to factor in. What about when it is somebody's day off? That can stress them out.
And as I said in the last pod, in dentistry, the biggest problem we've got within the team is actually the team are all really nice. So then they feel they've got to look and they've got to respond when they shouldn't be because it's not their contracted work hours.
No, I know.
It's funny, in our practice, it was actually our hygienist that set up a WhatsApp group, and everyone, when she did it, bless her, and it was to do with Christmas and the Secret Santa app, but when she did, everyone was like, ooh, because they know my feelings on it. And actually our team love that we don't have that. And I said, look, okay, I understand you've set it up to share the Secret Santa app, which you've kindly set up for everyone, and that's really nice, but this is not to be used for communication. And she was like, oh, right. And I was like, it's not happening here.
No.
And she was okay. And she's so lovely. And I felt like the big bad wolf saying that. But I know sat around me as a team that have gone, oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, it is.
Because the expectation is that we do not get WhatsApp communication on there. We got a message the other day. Leanna's bus hadn't even turned up. It was quicker and easier for her to put that message on there. Great. Not an issue. But apart from Secret Santa and Leanne's bus not turning up, that's all that's been on there in the last 5-6 months.
Yeah, that's really nice. I think it's healthy.
It's healthy. It's nice. It's respectful.
Yeah. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Press follow to make sure you get an immediate notification. We look forward to hearing from you. You can watch us on YouTube and, of course, listen on all the usual places that you enjoy your pods.